Jimmy Engelvant is going for it, isn't he? The Team Europcar rider in the break a couple of days ago. Knows how to come out with results from this level of race. And the Europcar racer, a veteran French rider, and pulled some interesting faces as he stops the clock in 16 minutes and 49 seconds. That's a pretty good effort. Not quite as good as the 16 minutes and 15 seconds recorded by Daniel Fomenik of the Astana squad. Michael Gogol, who was very active yesterday and well to the fore for much of the stage, is into his effort. 21-year-old from Austria. Ninth in the Austrian National Time Trial Championships, so capable of a good one, if not perhaps at the very, very top level in terms of time trial performances. Gogol has a couple of teammates in good position to step up the order. And how do Tinkoff Saxo play this now if they don't manage to get the lead from Lars Bach today? They're still very much in it. Do they go for the stage win courtesy of Matti Breschel tomorrow and just see what happens after that? Or do they try and play cards with Chris Juul Jensen sitting nicely and handily placed third overall at the moment ahead of this time trial?
I think it's gonna very much come down to what happens this afternoon and what the time differences are. It could end up being a bit of in terms of you know, if Lars Bach has still got the jersey by only a second or two, it could be that Tinkoff Saxo try and do something and send the rider up the road and effectively, well, try and create a sprint opportunity for bonus seconds. So yeah, it's always an interesting one when you haven't got more than a few seconds to play with. So the battle is on today, and then we'll have to see what happens tomorrow with the rest.
Michael Valgren Andersen, the reigning champion of the Tour of Denmark. He's now 5 minutes and 9 seconds in arrears, so it's not going to be a title defence for him. Still opportunities to do a good job, and of course he has those two teammates handily placed at the moment.
Just getting a bit of information here as well that the wind is starting to pick up a fraction along the circuit.
So Michael Valgren Andersen, to give him his full title, with those exceedingly long shoe covers. Shoe covers absolutely necessary today, I suppose they are. Strictly for aerodynamic purposes, that's
strictly for aerodynamic purposes, they are a massive gain.
But of course the rules say that you can't have anything that's strictly for aerodynamic purposes, so it's a little bit of a grey area there in the regulations, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's absolutely accepted practice, and I don't think anyone would be questioning Michael Valgren's use of them, and everyone else does.
Well, the funny thing is they completely banned them on the track, but on road racing, it's obviously still very much an accepted thing. And I guess you could always say, well, it's a bit damp over in the top end corner. I don't want to get my feet wet, so I'm going to wear them.
Get your toes a bit chilly. Yeah.
So yeah, they can't really argue with that one.
Little bit of a stretch, that one, but well, as we say, everyone else does it. It's not such a big issue, really, is it? Some people think they're even quite good looking. Not sure if I'd go that far. Magnus Cort Nielsen prepares to make his appearance. Great sprint performance from him this morning, finishing third on the stage with the Danish national squad, but of course a member of the Orica Green Edge squad in the World Tour. Looking a bit nervous, isn't he? Looking like he wishes this test was underway.
Oh, I wouldn't say he's nervous. He's probably more keyed up to have a proper go at it. When you've been, you know, racing at such a high level for a long time, you know, he's although he's still very young, he's still a seasoned campaigner. Done many junior world championships, under 23 world championships. So with that, you know, you don't really get nervous. You get sort of
keyed up, yeah.
There's a certain amount of anticipation in you, but not really nerves. And nerves is something that's most of the time going to have a negative effect on you. Whereas, you know, the anticipation and getting G'd up like that, you can actually use it to as good energy.
Rasmus Quad with a slightly alternative run through that corner. He stayed on the main road part and then flicked to the left-hand footpath on the way out. And he has that unusual style as he got back up to speed and got back on that monster gear. Didn't really move the bike left and right, did he? Just almost like a track start, the way he makes his way out of that corner.
Yeah, not necessarily the fastest through the corners either, but I guess it's all about how fast he's been riding out there on the road.
Well, well, we don't know, actually. We haven't got the intermediate splits, but clearly he's still pushing hard, so he probably doesn't know either. Maybe he feels it's one worth going for. 8 minutes and 34 seconds back, and he's pulling all sorts of faces. You can clearly see that he's trying to get everything out. As Rasmus Quad, his moustache being forced back in the breeze that he's creating as he races to the line. Gets a big cheer. He's a popular figure, isn't he, in this part of the world. 16:29. It's a fabulous time from Rasmus Quad, and by my reckoning that puts him third on the timesheet behind Daniel Fomenik of the Astana squad. Mads Pedersen, his teammate, just under 2 seconds better.
Yeah, so far the Cult Energy riders are having a really good go at this.
Certainly are. They'll be a little bit frustrated not to be on top spot because they've got two Danish riders sitting second and third at the moment. And it's Team Astana's Daniel Fomenik. The 23-year-old from Kazakhstan who's at the top of the timesheets at the moment. Dennis van den Aert. Very smooth style. Almost knock-kneed, isn't he? But he really does keep the lower limbs well in. And he's got a very low frontal area. You can almost impossible to see his head. Dennis van den Aert of Team Lotto Belisol. Just 1 minute and 42 seconds down, so he's had a strong week. Been there or thereabouts without losing time all week. And of course he'll be looking forward to see how his teammate Lars Idingback can get on in the time trial a little bit later on. 27 years of age now is Van den Aert, the Belgian rider. And team rivals Jonasan Jorgensen coming close to the conclusion of his big effort. Got that much lower hand position on the bars that was very popular many years ago, a little less popular these days. But as Magnus has pointed out, depends on what the wind tunnel tells you in terms of what suits you best. 16:59, break 70 minutes, good effort.
All right, here we go then. This is going to be an interesting ride. Kort Nielsen.
So Valgren Anderson on the way back and chasing his Minuteman. 52 kilometers an hour is a reasonable effort, isn't it, for Michael Valgren Anderson?
Getting caught for speeding on that one.
Yeah, and his teammate Michael Morkov, another local hero, is out into his effort as well. Pretty high cadence, relatively low gear. And charging along, bit of body movement there from Michael Morkov. He's a strong rider.
On such a short effort, you need to try and sort of start with a high cadence and you know, work it from there really. If you start in too big a gear, you've got nothing to work with, and you tend to just run out of steam very quickly. So start high cadence and work with the gears.
Wow, what about that? Absolutely stunning time. We wait to see is that confirmed. Edvald Boasson-Hagen waiting with anxiety and trepidation. The Norwegian national time trial champion manages a smile. And I think that could have been Søren Kragh Andersen that came up with that time. We're going to wait for full confirmation, but if so, it is a whopping 15 seconds shaved off the best time to this point. No update so far, but Søren Kragh Andersen, if that is confirmed, the clock was continuing to move. Well, that is an excellent time. 16 minutes dead, I made it.
Yeah, I had the same on this one there, but I guess we'll have to wait confirmation on that one, because that is a good chunk of time that he's taken out of the previous best time in that case. Yeah,
we wait with bated breath to find out if that is, as we believe, Søren Kragh Andersen going to the top and setting a very, very impressive benchmark time. And that's been confirmed on our timing screens. Søren Kragh Andersen now the leader of the time trial. Who can better 16 minutes? Anyone in the 15 minutes is going to take the lead of this time trial?
I'd say yes. I think we're going to have someone taking a good 10 to 15 10 seconds out of that one.
Well, that's the bet. 15:50 is the tip, but who's going to do it? That's the real question.
I actually think that you're either going to have Boasson Hagen do that, or Lars Bak.
So Boasson Hagen and Lars Bak. Well, Boasson Hagen is the reigning time trial champion of Norway. Lars Bak is a former national time trial champion of Denmark, and here is the Norwegian individual time trial champion. He's also the champion of the road race, so he doesn't have to change his colours from skin suit to road jersey, because Edvald Boasson Hagen, and he owns it all at the moment. It's Mads Schmidt from Team Colquick who's out there at the moment. Another Danish rider that's been very prominent throughout the week and gets a polite ripple of applause. Plenty of recognition for the local riders and massive appetite for this bike race in this part of the world. It's the 25th anniversary of the post-Danmark Rundt, otherwise known as the Tour of Denmark. And Martin Gruen of Team Rival working his way towards the finish, back into the technical part of town. We're in Helsingør. And he's going to stop the clock just in time. He's going to hold off his minute man.
Well, his minute man is... I'm just trying to work this one out now.
Who's this driving for the line?
Valgren.
It's Valgren. What's the time? 16:21 they're showing. And that's a pretty good effort, which by my calculations would have him third on the timesheet. So at the moment we've got Søren Kragh Andersen at 16 minutes dead, Michael Valgren Andersen at 16:21, and in between those two, Daniel Fomenik of the Astana squad. That's your top three at the moment. 16:15 for Fomenik. And plenty of good times coming in from the local riders. Nothing but, you know, sometimes riders in stage races are wont to take it just that little bit easier if they're not in overall contention. Try and maybe save a little bit for the stage or stages to come. But I think in this instance we've got so many local riders that really want to test their ability and showcase their talents to the bigger teams and see what's possible. As Lars Bohm.
Well, this is a man that usually does very, very well in these shorter technical time trials. Somewhat of a specialist, I'd say.
13.6 kilometers is a very short time trial, and Lars Bohm is one of the most powerful riders in the world on a flat road. And Bohm is capable of coming up with a good one today, and I think he'd probably want to make amends for that difficult day yesterday. He did what he could. He was left isolated, and that the climb on the finishing circuit just didn't suit his particular talents, and it must have been a little bit disheartening, and he'll want to show that he's made of stern stuff today.
Well, there's a way of obviously coming back and trying to win the stage, but you know, it was a big disappointment, I think, for the whole Astana team yesterday, with Fuglsang hitting the ground as hard as he did, and obviously been taken out of contention. But nevertheless, it's one of these things you got to deal with as a bike rider.
Well, Lars Bohm's back in there, and Fuglsang has retired from the race. Another rider that's retired is Jacques Janse van Rensburg. Unfortunately, he was involved in an accident in this morning's road stage. Having been so active in yesterday's stage, he actually took the lead of the most aggressive rider competition, which is a week-long competition that's judged each day, and points are awarded and accumulated. And unfortunately for Jacques Janse van Rensburg, he caught up in an accident today, broke his collarbone. He'll be out for a little while. A painful end to his tour of Denmark. So MTN Quebec losing a rider, losing some strong legs for Edvald Boasson Hagen as he chases stage glory tomorrow. He's also chasing stage glory today, as indeed is this man, Lars Bohm of the Netherlands. So Lars Bohm into the last couple of 100 metres. The man from Astana, erstwhile race leader, back in the blue of Astana. He completes his effort. 16:33. It's a good time, but it's not good enough to unseat Søren Kragh Andersen, who's got a 15-second advantage on Daniel Fomenik. And Asbjørn Kragh Andersen, the Andersen brothers, doing well. Edvald Boasson Hagen is chasing the time of Søren Kragh Andersen. 16 minutes dead. He's also looking potentially to vault up the order. Sitting 9th at the moment. And Edvald Boasson Hagen, as I say, the individual time trial champion of Norway. 8th in the Tour of Qatar individual time trial a little bit earlier on. And that is Matty Breschel of Tinkoff Saxo. Manages a smile, and why wouldn't he? He's won the last 2 stages. Can he make it a hat-trick?
Can he? Well, why not? He's certainly not bad on the time trial bike. But I think there's a few other guys here that really are going to put the pressure on him.
And the riders at the back end of the order making the preparation for their appearance. Rasmus Guldhammer there.
It's a man going well.
Boasson Hagen is right down the bottom of the block, really churning a big gear, and looks like he's going well.
Well, I wouldn't say churning it. It's he's actually pedaling that one.
Right. Yeah. He's eating up the road, isn't he?
Yeah.
Spinning the gear.
Well, certainly looking very, very smooth and powerful at the moment. We'll see what the time says when we get to that point.
So the man from MTN Quebec is the first of a 2-year deal with the African registered squad. And he's been rejuvenated, hasn't he, since he left Team Sky. Just didn't work out for him. Came with a big reputation and unfortunately wasn't really able to produce with any consistency the sort of performances that had led him to the Team Sky outfit.
Looks like Morkov coming in here now.
So Michael Morkov gunning it for the line to complete his time trial. And what's the time going to be for the Danish hero? 17:15. He's about 1 minute and 15 seconds off, so no significant performance in terms of troubling the scores, but he's through that effort, and he'll be thinking about setting something up tomorrow, or perhaps even taking his own chances. A few speed bumps along the way, but nothing to trouble Edvald Boasson Hagen so far. Will he pick up his Minuteman? He's chasing Jay McCarthy, the Tinkoff Saxo man, who started 2 minutes in front of him, so it's not a Minuteman as such. There's 2 minutes between them, so into the top, into the top 10, and they separate them by 2 minutes. So the bottle is dispensed with. It wasn't there just for decoration and aerodynamic purposes. which is very often the case, isn't it, with the bottles, that they seem to be considered just there for aerodynamic reasons. Surprised to see him throw it away, really, wasn't it?
Well, they certainly can be, and some of the frames are actually built for the use of a bottle on the bike, and that particular one bike is one of them. And actually most frames are faster with a bottle on the frame.
Yeah, it's interesting he threw that away. Maybe he wasn't thinking about it. They're just so much in the habit of dispensing with bidons when they're emptied, and there's not too many opportunities to take a drink. 15:45 looked like a pretty good time, but 16:47 looks more like what it really was. And for all that, it's not a bad effort either.
Actually,
Gerald Cialek now into his effort. Edvald Boasson Hagen's teammate.
Nye meldinger, nye unge danske løbere, der træder i karakter. Og mens de gør det over på modsatte langside, ja, så har vi en af de lidt mere rutinerede. Og jeg sagde,
working our way down the order. Matty Breschel in fine sprinting form. What's he got in the time trial? The 30-year-old from Denmark, third year on the Tinkoff Saxo squad. So Matty Breschel with 13.6 kilometers facing him. And the time he's chasing, well, we understand that Mads Vers Schmidt could well have eclipsed the previous best time, and the new benchmark time looks like it's 15:45 for the Danish riders. So Danish riders really coming to the fore. They're always strong in the time trial, traditionally very strong. So Mads Verst puts in an amazing performance. 15:45, that's what Edvald Boasson Hagen, Matty Breschel et al. Are chasing this evening in this second stage of the day.
So my prediction's just gone out the window then.
Forget 15:50. Yeah. What's it going to be? 15:40 more?
Well, it's definitely possible now. If we could take another 10 seconds off this before we finish with today's stage.
Scandinavian riders always strong in the time trial, aren't they?
They always have been, yeah. But there's a good scene of time trialing from a very young age up in Scandinavia. Certainly, maybe not quite as much in Denmark as it is in Sweden and Norway, but. Yeah, we tend to do a lot of it. Every weekend there's a road race and a time trial that usually being organised as a 2-day event.
Right. So road racing always there's lots and lots of small stage races that contain a time trial too.
They're not actually set up as stage races. It's just a weekend of racing, 2 days, one road race, one time trial, individual. So not actually bringing the times together.
Right.
But obviously you're travelling to one place, you race both races rather than driving halfway around the country chasing another road race somewhere.
I think I might give the time trial a miss. Is that okay? Is that allowed?
No.
It's got to ride them both.
It's got to be done, and it's one of those things for young riders. It's an absolutely brilliant form of racing, training. Everything is going to bring you on in leaps and bounds, and it's often forgotten and neglected as well in terms of the importance of it. Hence why, yes, we've got Guldhammer going out here now. No doubt he's going to want to impress as well here now, sitting up there in 4th place on general classification.
Just 38 seconds in arrears is Rasmus Guldhammer, so great opportunity for a massive result. 4th on GC in the Tour of Denmark back in 2009. Still just 26 years of age, and Guldhammer, he's been informed this year, 4th on GC in Tour de Fjords. Edvald Boasson Hagen's having a good year as well. A few wins under his belt, not least, of course, the Norwegian Individual Time Trial Championship. And Boasson Hagen looks to be going well. No intermediate times, but the time he's chasing is 15 minutes and 45 seconds. Time set by Schmidt of Denmark. Mads Vers Schmidt. Magnus Cort Nielsen. Driving for the line, the man from Orca Greenedge in the colours of the Danish national team. And listen to the cheers. He's a popular man in this part of the world. They see the national colours and they know it is the most prominent member of that team. Stops the clock, 16:37. Not a bad effort, but almost a minute down on the lead as it's currently held. Team Colquick. The local Chris Juhl Jensen sitting third overall for Denmark. And listen to the cheer as he launches himself off the start ramp. It's the Danish national individual time trial champion. Clearly good against the watch. In fine form, he's been in the action all week.
Alexander Kampe, he was very, very impressive yesterday on the final circuit in Vejle. I thought he rode incredibly well, and I'm quite keen to see what he can actually produce on a time trial bike here.
Yeah, Kampe finishing third on that occasion, behind Guldhammer and Breschel, leading the youth competition. He's in the white jersey, and in the blue jersey of leader of the points competition is Matti Breschel. He's got a 4-point advantage on Marco Marcato in the points competition. He'll be very, very satisfied with what's happened so far. Interesting cornering technique there, and well, Jay McCarthy is certainly going to hold off Edvald Boasson Hagen as he comes to the conclusion of this 13.6 kilometres. The Australian rider, prominent all week, and the pain and suffering is over for another day. Been a tough day for the riders with the a double stage. And he's cuts a lonely figure at the moment, doesn't he? Lars back as he waits for his opportunity to head away in the time trial. Pretty much everyone else has disappeared at this point. Just waiting for Marco Marcato. And then it will be the final rider to start the time trial, Lars back of Lotto Soudal.
Just getting confirmation that Magnus Cort Nielsen is coming to the finish there on 16:37, so not quite as good as we were potentially expecting from him.
So it's Mads versus Schmidt of Denmark and Team Colquick that has the lead at the moment, 15 minutes and 45 seconds.
Boasson Hagen's got a puncture. He's got a rear puncture.
Oh, problems for Edvald Boasson Hagen. He's on a tubular, of course. He can ride that one through. He hasn't got the time to change it, but look at the way the bike is snaking around, and that's disappointment. 16 minutes and 18 seconds is a fine effort. How much time did that puncture cost him? Because I do believe that he could well have lost third place. At the moment, he's sitting fourth, according to our calculations. Matti Breschel well into his effort, and Magnus Backstedt is working away at the abacus, trying to figure out. But I think I have him fourth at the moment.
Yes, I believe so.
We won't commit to that at the moment. Still waiting for the official confirmation, but good effort from Edvald Boasson Hagen to control that bike. Rear wheel puncture not coming, well, would have been worse if it happened a bit earlier, but he was at least able to ride it through to the finish. So now the overall race leader, Lars Idingbank of Lotto Soudal, breathes out, controls his breathing ahead of this penultimate time trial, and this is the big rendezvous for the general classification contenders. Defending that narrow 3-second advantage. You can see Marco Marcato off the start line, but I can tell you the Wanty Group Gobert rider is into his effort. He's 2 minutes ahead of Lars back on the road. And he's 3 seconds in arrears on general classification. It's a narrow advantage. 12 seconds is Lars Back's lead over Tinkoff Saxo's Chris Juhl Jensen. We'll pick him up on the road very shortly. He's 35 years of age now. 4th year with Lotto Soudal. And he's off and running. Listen to the cheer. The final rider in stage 5 of the Tour of Denmark. And the local crowd are really being treated to. some fantastic performances by their heroes this week. Not least, of course, from Matti Breschel. 9 stage victories in his Tour of Denmark career to this point. He's not finished yet. Great opportunity again for him tomorrow. What about today?
Well, what about today? Obviously had a good stage this morning, but I don't know about the time trialing effort, whether he's got the legs or not. I think it's a pretty special the time that Schmidt has put down, and 15:45. That's going to take some doing to beat, and I'm just not sure whether Matti Breschel is actually up for that type of a time.
Yeah, well, he would have gone very, very deep to take that sprint victory today, and indeed yesterday, but particularly having done it this morning, to get the legs to fire again in the evening is difficult, isn't it?
Well, it is difficult, but it's something that these guys should be capable of doing. And yeah, it used to be a number of years back that we did quite a few sort of double stages where you had road stage in the morning and time trial in the afternoon, and you tend to sort of get into the swing of things and how you actually, you know, used it and dealt with it. Whereas now these guys are not. They get maybe 1 or 2 a year, if that. So yeah, bit of a sort of.
It's a different world, yeah.
Well, yeah, very, very different.
There was a time when the Tour de France riders went on strike because there were so many split days. I think on some. Wasn't entirely unknown for the Tour de France to actually run 3 stages in one day as they maximised the income from stage finish towns, and eventually enough was enough as far as Bernardino and co were considered. So now it's a relatively rare event, and as you say, the current breed of professional not that used to making 2 big efforts on one day. Having said that, the powers of recovery of professional bike riders never ceases to amaze me. It just seems to be so routine for them to be able to go again and again, day after day.
Yeah, well, but you become accustomed to it, and you know, if it's you train for it, and with that, you know, when it's required, you just dig that little bit deeper. And a lot of the time, it's not actually physically whether you're ready for it or not. It's what you mentally decide that you want to do. You know, cycling is, as far as I'm concerned anyway, as much about your mental attitude as it is about your physical fitness. These guys, most of them are just about equally as fit. Okay, there's some variations in terms of body weight and body shape and all the rest of it. It's got to decide whether they can go uphill fast enough or not, and whether they're a good sprinter or not. But at the end of the day, in general raw fitness, they're about the same. So it comes down to how much do you want to get out there, hurt yourself to produce a result.
Yeah, everybody's hurting.
Yeah,
everybody's energy reserves tend to dwindle at more or less the same rate. So across a stage race, yeah, it's all about levels of motivation to a certain extent. So we pick up a side of the man currently in the hot seat. That's Mads Schmidt. Straight onto Twitter and Facebook to tell the world while I'm leading. Took the under-23 Paris-Roubaix a couple of years ago.
Well, I'm just getting some information here that Matti Breschel has gone past the intermediate time 30 seconds slower than Bosenhagen did. So that's clearly not going very well. And same thing with Guldhammer. He's about 15 seconds down on Bosenhagen.
So Rasmus Guldhammer, sitting 5th overall, is ahead of Matti Breschel on the road, but slower than Edvald Bosenhagen. And we know that Edvald Bosenhagen is in and finished, but sitting 3rd on the timesheets as best we understand it at the moment. Mads Schmidt is the rider that's leading with that stunning time of 15 minutes and 45 seconds. Gerald Zielek making his way towards the finish. Currently 8th overall. 1 place in front of Edvald Bosenhagen, 1 place behind him on the road as he races through to the finish. The man from MTN Quebec and Germany, winner of Milan-San Remo a couple of years ago, really launched the MTN squad. He announced their arrival on the big stage. 16 minutes and 54 seconds for Gerald Zielek. Workman-like performance for a man who's capable of good results in short prologues over 3, 4, 5 kilometers, that kind of thing, but maybe 13.6 kilometers, just that little bit too far. Now Lars Bak, 35 years of age, the yellow jersey in his home race. Can he finally take the victory that he so desperately desires? And ahead of him on the road, the first sight we've got of Marco Marcato, who's been, well, to the fore all week, the Italian. Second at just 3 seconds.
I think he's going to be the one to lose out on this particular type of effort. Really not known for his time trialing ability. But, you know, when you're up there racing for general classification, things tend to change a little bit. You tend to be able to focus and push yourself that bit harder. But I just have a feeling that he's going to be the man out of the top sort of 4 or 5 that's going to suffer the most today.
Well, he's suffering now, and he knows he needs to suffer. He's going to hang on to that position. He's got an 9-second lead indeed over Chris Jensen. On the left-hand side of screen, that's Chris Jensen, the individual time trial champion of Denmark, who's really hanging out of a big gear. Lars Bak looks like he's going at a similar rate, of course, different parts of the course.
Well, Juul Jensen, she's gone through the intermediate time at 8 minutes and 7 seconds. So that's going to tell us a bit when we get into Lars Bak coming around that turning point as to how they're faring against each other.
So that's what Lars Bak's chasing. Oh, as just interesting variety of...
I can just say that Bosenhagen went through that on 8 minutes and 11 seconds. So Juul Jensen, 4 seconds quicker than Bosenhagen. 4
seconds to the good, and Bosenhagen, as we know, is just over half a minute slower than the man who leads this time trial. But we're concentrating really on the general classification contenders as they're starting to make their way across the finish line. That's Colaquic's Alexander Kamp. Some interesting lines through the corner.
Well, the time seemed to have slowed down a little bit.
Chris Jensen from Tinkoff Saxo. Good 10th place finish in the morning stage. Managed to stay at the front end of a little bit of a split. Mads Wirtz Schmidt leads from Soren Kragh Andersen. Daniel Fomenik it is that's sitting third at the moment, just a few seconds ahead of Edvald Bosenhagen. But it's Mads Wirtz Schmidt that has the lead at the moment. And who can unseat him? Team from Alma Bornholm rider. Sorry, Team Colaquic rider, of course, the local continental level rider, as Lars Bak gets the cheers. Sort of anxious applause, isn't it, from the crowd at the side of the road. They're cheering him on to victory. They want to see, can he hang on?
Marcato's just gone through that intermediate time at 8 minutes and 33 seconds. So compare that to Juul Jensen that went through on 8:07.
So he's leaking time in a big way. 18 seconds traded.
So Juul Jensen has got himself up straight up into second place here on GC if he manages to hold on to this.
26 seconds even traded to Chris Juul Jensen. So Juul Jensen's certainly moving up into second place, it would appear. But can he overhaul the race leader? And he's not lacking for motivation, is he? He's a big, powerful rider. He's really announced himself in the last couple of years as Chris Juul Jensen. Interestingly enough, he's on his way to Orica Greenedge for the next 2 seasons. Just signed a contract, so he'll be leaving Tinkoff Saxo at the end of the year. Matty Breschel, his teammate, coming to the conclusion of his efforts, sitting 4th overall, the 30-year-old, with those 9 stage victories in his career in Tour of Denmark, 2 so far this week. Won't be a third, I don't think, this evening. 17:21 is over a minute down on the stage leader at the moment. Mads Wirtz Schmidt. Across the speed bumps for Lars Bak.
That means that he's lost out to Alexander Kemp, Matty Breschel.
So Matty Breschel leaking a little bit of time at the moment, but doing a good job. Not sure if stage honours are on offer for Chris Juul Jensen. I don't think he's that concerned about that. His focus, his entire focus, is on a man that is further behind him. Total of 4 minutes behind him off the start ramp. And in between them is Marcato.
Well, Lars Bak went through that intermediate at 8 minutes and 21 seconds. So compare that with Juul Jensen 8:07. We've got to remember
14
then
seconds,
12 seconds this morning, so Juul Jensen is effectively a virtual yellow leader right now.
So at the moment, 2-second advantage at the halfway point for Juul Jensen. That is the narrow advantage, and still almost 7 kilometers of bike racing for Juul Jensen to perhaps extend his advantage. Things looking good for the Tinkoff Saxo man. It's a good effort for Team Cult Energy's Rasmus Guldhammer, who's sitting 5th overall going into today's stage. Nice little bit of bike handling there by Juul Jensen. He's been through this course. No surprise for him through that little S-bend. Hops it up over the curbs and immediately back into the drops. Well, as quickly as possible anyway. And onto that big gear. The lights from the Tinkoff Saxo. And indeed, the camera motorbike behind him, illuminating the way for the young Danish rider. 26 years of age, grew up in Ireland. And he's coming towards the conclusion of his effort. How much time has he managed to put into Lars Ittingbæk? Has Lars Bak saved a little bit for the second half of this course with the tailwind? Tailwind such as it is. Hardly a breath of wind, perfect time trial conditions. And Juul Jensen piles it on all the way to the finish, and he's out of the saddle. He's not going to get back in the saddle till he's crossed the line. You can see the pain etched on his face, but it's been worth it. 16 minutes dead, and by my reckoning that puts him into a share or something very close anyway. They're going to be separated by just fractions of a second, himself and Søren Kragh Andersen. So 15 seconds off the lead of the stage. Potential second place finish in the stage for Juul Jensen, but of more importance to him, he's putting time into Lars Bak. Has Lars Bak saved anything for the second half?
Well, that's the big question. It's obviously difficult to wind up the speed on such a short effort, but you never know with someone like Lars Bak. He's such a seasoned campaigner now. Then he will potentially be able to, if he hears that he's behind, he will be able to push himself. But how much? I think Juul Jensen has just done a really solid time on this particular course, and I think the wind has picked up a bit. Hence why all of a sudden we've got some slightly slower times for these the top riders.
Yeah, slightly fluctuating conditions, but at least they got, well, of course the GC guys have had pretty much identical situations. So the time that Lars Bak is looking for to retain a lead over Juul Jensen, always assuming that Marco Marcato is slipping out of contention, well, that's 16:12. We'll watch to see what the time is when Lars Bak completes his efforts. 16 minutes and 12 seconds. The next man we're going to see across the finish line very shortly will be Marco Marcato of Wanty Group Gobert. And he had a 3-second advantage on Juul Jensen, so he needs to complete in 16:03. I don't think that's likely to happen. Mads Verts Schmidt doesn't show a lot of emotion. I think he can begin to start thinking about celebrating.
Well, I think he can do so. I don't think he believes it himself. So this will be a massive win for the young man.
Just 21 years of age, young Dane out of a big time trialing school we have in this neck of the woods. Well, Lars Bak knows he's got to put on his biggest gear and really get that gear churning. It's effective, but look at the way his head and his shoulders are really rocking. The shorter the effort, often the less svelte or beautiful the position on the bike, because you've really got to just get the power into the pedals any which way.
Yeah, and Lars Bak rides with this particular way where he just turns over such a big gear all the time. It never really looks like he's traveling anywhere. It looks slow, but he's actually going quite fast.
So Marco Mercado sprints for the line. How much time has he managed to preserve? 16:03 if he's to hang on to second. That's the time that the Italian 31-year-old with Wanty Group Gobert needs as he charges for the line at the conclusion of 13.6 tough kilometers of time trialing. 17:02, more than a minute lost, so Mercado will slip well down the order. So just one rider left out on the course. It is the overall race leader heading into today's stage. Lars heading back with the more careful run through the little S-bend there. Relatively careful. He still takes to the footpath on the exit of the curve. And Lars back hanging out of the biggest gear that he possibly can, bigger than most. And Mads Schmidt is starting to sign autographs. Well, he might.
Well, I think that was the autograph to say that, yes, I'm going to the doping control. Which is a good thing. Which is a very good thing.
Well, it's not the last autograph he'll sign today, that's for sure, yeah. So, Mads Schmidt of Team Colloquick. Surely nothing can prevent him from taking this.
Oh, he's got a puncture as well. He's got a puncture as well.
And it's absolute disaster for Lars Bak, and it's an interesting decision. Should he ride this one all the way to the line?
He should do. He definitely should do. He's just got one corner here, and that's the going across the curbs here. Oh, he's having to clip out. No, get on the bike. Get on your bike.
Should he have ridden that? Well, that is an interesting decision from Lars Bak. The bike comes off the roof of the car and he's immediately on his way. But look at the time that's lost. It must be 15-20 seconds or more for Lars Bak. And there was a little bit of decision making as well. Bit of a delay as he had a little think about it. So Lars Bak looked as if he was losing his jersey. He's unclipped there as well. And he's got to get the foot back in. It's absolute disaster at the back end of his time trial as we see two riders from the top 10 suffering punctures. Edvald Boasson Hagen deciding to persevere on that tubular right to the finish. Lars Bak takes a bike change, gets the applause and the support of the crowd, but it's well, it's sympathetic support. 16 minutes and 57 seconds. The dream is surely over of overall success in this race. Mads Schmidt can celebrate, although it doesn't seem minded to, because he's taken victory in the Stage 5 time trial. Lars Bak will have to trade that yellow jersey for his Lotto Soudal outfit for tomorrow. And the leader of this race heading into the final stage is the Tinkoff Saxo rider Chris Juul Jensen of Denmark. Wild disaster for Lars Bak. I think, to be honest, he was probably, well, he was almost certainly on his way out of the jersey as it was anyway, and Chris Juul Jensen had done enough. So I don't think it made a difference in terms of his position, but he slipped quite a way back as a result of that.
Well, he obviously lost 15-20 seconds, maybe even a bit more than that. I seriously don't understand why he stopped. Such a good bike handler as him, he should have just gone through that corner and just kept the pressure on and gone all the way into the line. There wasn't really any more technical corners. He'd done the corner that he needed to negotiate, and after that it's just a question of just riding it. You know, yes, okay, it's an expensive wheel that he's riding, but I'm sure there's more of them in the back of the truck.
So Chris Juul Jensen can celebrate, can smile, but well, there's a job to be done tomorrow.
Fra start med det skal jo alle selvfølgelig, så for mig var det vigtigt at komme i en god rytme og så fokusere på det.
It's really important to get into a good rhythm.
Og så ja, kæmpe respekt til Mads.
So it's a real big respect to Mads, who's they really have done an amazing ride today.
At tabe etappen til Mads og slå Søren, så lidt det viser også hvor stort talent der er i Danmark.
Men når du nu vinder den gule trøje, så kan du godt leve med at tabe etappen, trods alt, hva'?
Ja, selvfølgelig.
Now that you got a yellow jersey, though, you can live with losing the stage. He goes.
Han fik defekt, så det er jo selvfølgelig.
Yeah, it's obviously nice, but unfortunately, Lars had a bit of an issue there with a puncture.
Have den gule trøje, men jeg vil også gerne have vundet den, uden at han har haft defekt, selvfølgelig.
I would have obviously liked to have won it without Lars having the problems that he had, but you know, we'll have to take it as it is.
Ja, det er nu. Jeg er rigtig glad for, at jeg har et stærkt hold.
So obviously I've got a very strong team for tomorrow.
Og
So,
det håber vi belønner lidt med, når løbet er slut i morgen.
Tak for det.
We're going to keep working as we are and get to a good result tomorrow.
Vi venter med det helt store tillykke til i morgen eftermiddag, når vi
So Chris Jensen, very magnanimous in victory, well, in second place, I should say, on stage, but that moves him into the overall race lead of the Tour of Denmark. Mads Schmidt takes the stage victory by 15 seconds from our new yellow jersey, Chris Jensen. Søren Kragh Andersen has to be satisfied with third, just fractions of a second behind his fellow countryman. Daniel Fomenik from Kazakhstan, Astana, finishes fourth. Edvald Bosenhagen time trialling well ahead of Michael Valgren, Asbjørn Kragh Andersen, the two brothers in the top 7. Patrick Conrad ahead of Mads Pedersen and Rasmus Quaid, and lots of Danish riders in that top 10. So Schmidt takes the stage honours. Chris Jensen with a very, very handy advantage now, and that really has turned GC upside down. He's going to have a healthy advantage heading into the final stage. Is there anyone to stop Chris Jensen?
Well, I think it's going to be difficult with that one. The circuit tomorrow lends itself very well to some attacks and stuff, but with Tinkoff Saxo there being as strong as they are, I think they're going to struggle.
Skulle løbe med sejren her i dag. Havde du selv regnet med det?
Og vi venter naturligvis
What have you thought about this one?
Jeg ved slet ikke, hvad jeg skal sige. Det,
He said, I don't really even know what to say. It's
jeg har ikke så meget at sige.
Jeg betragtede dig inde i teltet, da du sad og ventede på de andre sider, og du virkede til at være fuldstændig op at køre over din sejr. Hvor stor en triumf er det her for dig?
How big a thing is this for you then? It's by far the biggest thing that I've ever won.
Det står alt med længder i det her selskab. Og
it's obviously with this kind of company, with all the professional bike riders.
Jeg slet ikke været mig selv endnu.
He said, I don't think I've understood myself just yet.
Altså på trods af den her defekt, en anden plads.
Jeg kører sgu bare alt, hvad jeg kunne hele vejen.
He said, I just went out and went as hard as I could all the way.
Kiggede på computeren og sørgede for, at den ikke lå under 55 km i timen.
I looked down and was well over 50 kilometers an hour, so obviously I knew it was a good one. So, well.
It's the biggest win of his career. He'll celebrate it tonight. At last, he's able to break a smile, because Mads Schmidt has taken the win. Stage victory going to Team Colquick and Mads Schmidt. Great victory from Mads Schmidt, and it's Chris Jensen into the overall race lead in Tour of Denmark ahead of the final stage.